Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Ready to talk some comics with you, as always, here. Another great week of comics. This is episode 194. We're inching closer to 200 there, Chris. Getting close.
194. Oh,
Yeah. I guess
sweet.
So yeah, a little while longer. We'll be hitting episode 200 before the year's end here. So really exciting. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This is our weekly comic book review show where me and Chris get together every week and talk about the comics that we've been reading, give you our thoughts on them, ratings and reviews, show off some of the art. Sometimes we get into some comic book news, all kinds of things like that. And today we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the last week of August. This is August 27th, 2025. And spoiler warning, as always, if you're worried about getting your book spoiled, you can always read your books and then come back and check us out here in our playlist. We've also been dropping a lot of other episodes lately, too, as well. You can go check out. A couple weeks back there, we just, or I guess last week, we just put out a video for our Fan Expo recap. Me and Chris having talked about the Fan Expo Toronto con there. You can check that out. And you can also check out our new comic book solicitation videos where we kind of highlight what we're looking forward to picking up in the coming months. Like we put out a couple of videos of that. Marvel, DC, all of their new book announcements essentially that are coming out. And but I guess this is for November that we just talked about. So yeah, check those out as well. All right, Chris.
Well, I think I'm still feeling some hangover effects from that that Fan Expo.
Oh, yeah.
Mylar comic bags. Oh, it makes a lousy comic look sweet. So, let me go pick up some Mylar comic bags. $30 for 50.
They're expensive.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, they're expensive. I was gonna say also, like, I guess you picked some up at the show that had the comics in those bags. Like, for displaying purposes, they are the best. I agree. It really.
I gotta get some of these bags. They make your comics look great.
That's a comic book store secret there, because like the way to do it is you double board a Mylar bag, a comic. You put two boards in a Mylar bag, and it makes the older comics like pop, like the color.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at that thing, you can take it out, and it looks. You'll notice like how it's not even at as good condition.
As crap. What the heck is this? You put it back in the bag. Whoa, it's like brand new.
For display,
$30 for 50 bags. Come on, I got hustled.
Yeah, for
display. And then of course I went to this other comic shop. They have a bunch of old issues. I got a Psylocke freaking JSK or with that John with a Campbell cover.
Mm.
The new Avengers. They had all of them there. Oh, fuck. Boom, 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 boom. Of course, I have to get that Ivan Talavera Giant X-Men 2. I went there to get the Black Cat #1 cover, the Adam Hughes.
Yeah.
Supposedly on their website they said they had it, and then I ordered that the Frank Miller 1100 DC Comics. Well, it wasn't there yet. I guess they had to reorder. So I went there to pick up two comics that came out spending $70 on stuff I didn't want.
That's how it
goes. They got me good. But anyway, let's talk these week's comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh. No, I liked that rundown. That was good. Good to know that Fan Expo is still running strong and you.
Killing me.
But yeah, that's a secret. Those Mylar for purposes of like if you want to just put up some nice covers, guys, that is the best way to do it. It is pricey, as Chris mentioned. So yeah. All right. So first up on the docket here today, Nemesis Forever #1. The return of Mark Millar and Nemesis, as well as he's got Matteo Scalera on art for this one. Really excited. He's great.
I just went for the black and white cover just in case my LCS gets the one I ordered. I ordered the regular cover, so didn't want to end up stuck with two of the covers. But oof, I don't know if this comic is like this has to be this thing is like a movie. Like that prelude before you get to the credits. That was just crazy what was going on in there. And the violence is just ramped up to the nines in this one. Like, I thought the other ones were violent. This one, again, just in the first 5 pages, he blows up that whole time, that city there, just so he can write that I'm back in the fires. And then it goes on for the rest of the story. And then there's some cop, I think the FBI or whatever, they think they have a lead on him. And they picked up one of his contacts, and she lost an eye. So the the undercover cop, almost she has to take her eye out just so she can think that she can be the new contact. That's just crazy in itself, and she agrees to it. And
Yeah.
then just the other violence there. Like if I hadn't read any of the previous Nemesis comics, like I would think this is like just freaking right over the top. And it's just more of the same, and I love all of it.
Yeah, I kind of like since we've seen him in the last miniseries, you get to learn and see a little bit behind the scenes finally though about him masquerading as these different people. Like now he's almost like a billionaire tech guy. Like he's like you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the type of persona I guess he's going for now. And meanwhile, they're asking like, "What are you doing, investing all this money on things and doing all these?" Like, he's like, "Don't worry about it. Like, you know, I got this all figured out." Like,
it's almost taking a page out of Austin Powers, where that number 2 was like, they made so much money doing legitimate business. Like,
right,
do we really need to be terrorists?
right, yeah. Well, it's true, and yeah, he is. Yeah, well, that's the thing they cut. Yeah, that's actually a very good example because they say that in this issue. They're like, "Why are you wasting your time doing this other stuff?" Like, they're like, you know, you gotta focus on the task at hand here. You are, you know, because this is Nemesis, right? And you know, he's an evil dude, and you know, so like, I don't know. I Matteo Scalera, I really like the art as well. It's kind of interesting. His art style has changed over the years. Like now, I don't know if he's like painting this, but it's like thin pencils and like like it's kind of thin pencil work. It kind of looks like him just doing a color, you know, coloring over it, like or painting it or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's a watercolor or something, but
ink wash. I think it's like an ink wash or something. Yeah, it looks good though. I like it. You know, it's interesting to see how his style has progressed over the years. Like he used to look a lot different than this, and now he like kind of his art style looks like this, which is kind of interesting. But it looks good. Yeah, I like this first issue. Strong first issue. You get to see him in action quite a bit in this one and take things, you know, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty, which is great, right? Like he just kind of, yeah, it's great stuff. I like this character, and I have high hopes for this one. I remember I wasn't as hot on the last miniseries as you were because I didn't really like the artist on that last one, but that's not going to happen here. So I'm really digging this one so far. So
yeah, there's no messing around with the story. This story is all forward motion. You know, there's no backtracking into his history or anything. So I don't mind that at all. I'd give it a 4. I think
4 out of 5. Yeah, solid start. Looking forward to more. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Imperial War Planet She-Hulk #1. We're starting into the these one-shot tie-ins before we get to the end of the event here. There's a slew of them coming out the next couple of weeks. Nice cover. Yeah, that's a good one.
I didn't plan on buying this, but what can you do? A She-Hulk cover. I'm a sucker for that.
Mm-hmm.
And the story, I thought the art was great in this. I was expecting a whole lot more, but the story went closer to like the She-Hulk series before this. It's a lot of kind of, you know, look at me, I'm sort of stuck in this situation, and how am I going to deal with it? I didn't enjoy that. You know, if She-Hulk's here, this queen of this Sakaar, and this is supposed to be like a badass planet, I was expecting more of a, you know, a grittier She-Hulk, not someone that was so, I don't know, just kind of so sappy with whatever she was thinking, like not what she was saying, but those kind of thoughts or the word ball or the narration, I guess. I didn't appreciate that, but I thought the art was great. The story was okay. You know, I guess with her in charge, she was supposed to kind of keep the peace for the first few days, and someone got murdered. And then, you know, there's five or six sort of suspects. And then it turns out, well, spoiler alert, but it turns out they all tried to kill this guy, and then they were all kind of fighting just to see who takes credit for it. So it was an okay story, but I didn't like I wasn't for me.
I liked it just fine. I think it was as a one shot in this event. I agree with you. I think the art was the highlight of this, but maybe like you said, the characterization was what I was looking for from She-Hulk, right? Like, but yeah. This is supposed to spin off, I think, into her own series or something. I think I had saw in this list I think there is a She-Hulk book or something coming out at some point, I think, right? Maybe in the new year. I think I saw that them announce it at some point. So, I'm always down to check out another She-Hulk book. But like you said, I mean, if she's going to actually take her place as this, this person on this planet there. You would hope that he gets a She-Hulk version that's a little bit more like badass than the one that they presented in this one.
Right? More confident, more secure, not like this was a good narration was good in her last one, where she was, trying to become a lawyer again, and it's kind of like the day-to-day, oh my god, what am I going to do, all sort of stuff. But yeah, you're running a planet here, you got to be a little bit more assertive.
I agree with you. Yeah. You know what though? I love this trend of the badass women with big swords that Absolute Wonder Woman has brought. Keep it coming. You want the bigger the sword, the better. I'm all for this. Like, I see that this is happening in a lot of books now, I feel like, after Absolute Wonder Woman. And of course, I think the big main guy with the big sword is Guts from Berserk, the manga or the anime, if anybody's familiar with that. And
Magic's got a big one too there.
Magic, that's true. Yeah, she was around a while too. That is true. So I'm all for that. Let's keep it going. I didn't mind seeing her with the big ass sword in this. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So
I think we are taking this to a 3.75 for me, but without that, that'd be a 3.5. But I'll give it 3.75.
I like your I like that. I'm gonna tag along with that 3.75 as well because of the art. Yeah, really good looking book. And then I got Imperial War Black Panther #1. I read this one, this other tie-in. I gotta say, out of the two, this is actually the better of the two, in my opinion. This was really good. I thought Cafu on art and Victor Laval, I guess he's the one that wrote this with the Jonathan Hickman kind of co-plotting it, I guess, with him. I guess his involvement in the event. This was just a really good, it kind of like went more into like the reveal of the Black Panthers in Wakanda not being responsible for their part in this so-called, the assassination that they thought that they were responsible for in this event. This kind of delves more into that and what had happened with these characters and Hulk and his what's his name? The other Hulkling here. I always forget his name. But basically here, it's just a really good characterization of Black Panther, I thought, and of the Wakandan people. And there's this whole thing where he has to try to convince the Hulk, even though like he's pissed off and chasing him, and he has to convince them otherwise that they're not responsible. So like that kind of scene that we did see in the event happen, where Black Panther had to like tell them that they weren't responsible, or Shuri or whomever. Like that's kind of like shown more here in this issue. Like they kind of expand on that whole idea and give us like a whole issue of it. And I thought it was well done. I really thought it added a bit to the event. I guess that's what's happening here, because with the next one, it'll be the wrap up, and that last issue, it just focused on the fact that the reveal of who was behind everything more so than all the players that we were introduced to in the first two issues. So that I guess that's what the purpose of these one shots are, just kind of going to show you where they went off from that second issue and like focusing on different characters. I don't know if it's going to be adding any like extra context or new people to the storyline at this point. So otherwise, yeah, I thought this was solid. I liked it. Art was fine. I think out of the two, in terms of characterization, though, like Chris just said, I think I would say this was better. I like the Black Panther in this issue. Like I whenever he's really, they show like how intelligent he is and his the fact that he's strategic and like more like ready for war if it comes to his front door, but he's going to try to not like make that the case. Like I really like this version of the Black Panther. Like I like him more still like a superhero and not just as a key figure for the Wakandan people, but also like when he needs to step into that kind of role, he's able to do that as well. So that's I felt like that was the best of both worlds. Like the Black Panther I really like was in this one. So I give this a 3.75 out of 5 as well. And then I got Doom 2099 #1. I got this cool cover here, this Dan Panosian. It's like a foil one. It shows both sides of Doom and Doom 2099. I liked the Doom 2099 series back from the 90s. Warren Ellis wrote a bunch of it. I picked up a trade paperback years ago and read it. I was a big fan of that. And then this is actually a one. I forgot I pre-ordered this, so it was a surprise when it showed up in my pile. But this was a one-shot issue that was basically a tie-in to One World Under Doom. And in this one, Doom from 2099 comes back in time to warn Doom of One World Under Doom that he's making the wrong choice trying to take over the way he is. And of course, as you know, yeah, as you know, Chris, Doom is not going to stand for that, even from his future self.
He doesn't believe himself. It's like, get out of here, you bum.
He's like, I don't know what you have planned back in 2099, but I'm not listening to this.
I'm not changing anything I'm doing here.
So, and he tries to warn him. He's like, no, the future is terrible. If you've read any of the 2099 books, and there's like a cool page here of showing all of the 2099 characters, you could tell like it isn't great in that time period for a lot of these guys. And the whole issue, that's basically what it is. A classic Doom versus Doom, trying to convince him not to go down the path that he's going down. They fight. Doom in our time is able to stop Doom 2099 from taking him out. And then Doom 2099 has to go back to his time with his tail between his legs. And basically at the end of the issue, they show you like there's no one else alive. Like he took out everybody in the future. And he's like, and that's hence the name Doomed 2099. Like he was telling the truth. Whatever happens or whatever like path he goes off on, he gets back to his time. He's like, I hope he changes his mind or something happens to change fate, like this doesn't happen. And he's by himself. Like he's now the ruler of no one, like essentially in 2099. Like he kind of, it's true. Like that's why the title Doomed is like their future is doomed, and he tries to warn him and he doesn't listen. So classic Doom. Honestly, this is just like a really fun one shot. If you like Doom, I think this is definitely worth checking out. And it serves as sort of a tie-in to the event. The version of the Doom that we're seeing is part of the event, but they don't really talk about anything else going on in the event. It's just like this whole like him coming from the future to stop him from being like the ruler essentially of everyone at this point. Like he's become, right. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. Frank Thierry wrote it. I don't know who the artist is on this. I'm not familiar with them. Delio Diaz and Frank Alpizar, but yeah, no complaints from me. Everything was good, so I quite dug it. Let me just jump ahead here. I want to show you. Oh yeah, and then Old Man Logan and what's his name? Maestro, the Hulk from the future. All these like future version people, like he pulls them in to help as well, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like so, as he pulls like future versions of characters that we know Doom and brings them to be in Bishop and Cosmic Ghost Rider. There's a few of them that are known as future versions of characters. He basically brings them along with him to like try to take out Doom, and of course that fails as well. So, but yeah, here at the end, yeah, there's like a memorial sign or whatever those who lost, and he's got all these Doom bots that basically have masks on of characters that we know that aren't the actual people. They're Doom bots. So I guess he's trying to surround himself with familiar faces because everyone's dead in the future. It's kind of like a sad, messed up like, and they all like take their masks off, and it's like, of all the heroes, and he just like looks around and he's like, no one's there. Like it's just him and his castle. Great stuff. You know what? The more I talked it up, I gotta give this 4 out of 5. It was a lot of fun for a one shot for Doom.
King of nothing.
I can't hate on this. This was a fun one shot. All right, Chris. The Mortal Thor #1. Let's hear about this one.
Yeah, not much to say about this. This is like it's not even a reimagining. You just follow this new character. I think it's like Sigmund something. He's like a construction worker. He has no memory. He kind of just shows up, in New York, and he's just trying to find a job. And I don't even know why they got to start this #1. They could have just continued on with, where the Immortal Thor ended. I didn't really read the end, so I think you needed to read the previous series to figure out what's going on here. It looks like Loki's around, and basically he's just sort of roaming around the streets of New York trying to find a job. And then there's a group of I think he answers basically an ad, and he would have to be a strike breaker to help Roxxon company, do whatever they do. And he decides not to do it. And then the Roxxon kind of sends their goons on these construction workers, and then Thor beats them up. And these Roxxon goons, one of them calls himself Thor for whatever reason. And of course, since he's a construction where he's a hammer, so he freaking beats him up like with just a regular hammer. And like, there's no sort of Thor business going on in here, but you know, this guy's going to be Thor somehow. So maybe they're making you wait before he becomes Thor, or who knows what's going on this series. But once again, yeah, it's not a classic Thor type of story. Maybe it's going to be a good run, but so far, I'm not impressed. I'd give it a 3.25.
Oof. All right. And then something I forgot to read, Huck Big Bad World #4, Chris.
Yeah, here we go. This is a good show here, this Huck. Shit. I think in the previous issues, you know, it's just been Huck and this guy there trying to track down other supers, and one of his traveling companions, I think he got separated from a girl that he met when he was younger, and then they end up meeting up here. And, you know, they both have their little, you know, reunion. And then he's like, you know, I'd like to stay with you. You know, I know we didn't know each other very long, but, you know, I've thought about you every day and blah, blah, you know, all this blah, 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 romantic stuff. And then she's sort of on board, and, you know, they have this whole sort of situation where, you know, I guess they're both older now. I don't know. They look sort of on the elderly side, and, you know, they regret all the time that they could have spent together. But then it moves into a different story that supposedly there's I don't know, I guess the big bad there has been tracking that guy that they sent out to find all these other supers. So now wherever Huck and his companion went to, they've basically marked all the supers out for this company that wants to take them out. And then another beat, so another story beat that's going on. I don't know if you remember that girl that Huck liked, and then she took off with some guy. Well, I suppose that guy freaking ditched her.
It was her ex-husband, I think, that came back.
Yeah. Whoever it was, he ditched her, and now she's 6 months pregnant, I guess, with his baby. And you know, now he's taken off, and he shows up, I guess, or she shows up, I guess, in Huck's house. And then, you know, and Huck has a little reunion with her, you know, and they still to be he still seems to have feelings for her, you know, and she's like, oh, I'm so stupid, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Huck is like, you know, I'm going to go find this guy and get your money back. Suppose he took all her money. But then, is it Huck's mom that's in there? She's like, no, don't worry, Huck, you stay with her. I'll go track him down in New York or something and find him. And she finds him. And she makes him do all this crazy stuff. And you think, okay, this is a great comic. Then she's walking out of this bar that after, you know, she dealt with that ex-boyfriend. And then that team that has been trying to kill all these supers, some sniper has her in the fucking sights. And then pow! She does not look to be in a good spot. Like, I think her head has been exploded. So like, things went off the rails in this comic. Like, it took a left turn, and things are getting crazy now. So this has been good now. Like, you know, I thought it was a little pedestrian, you know, the first couple issues, but Mark Millar we're in business now. Like, things are happening. I'd give this a 4.25 easily.
Shit. Yeah. I wish I read
this one. It's good.
Yeah. And then, you know, knowing his miniseries, he's probably going to have like the next issue is going to be like the last 1, 5 or 6 is going to be like the last issue of the miniseries. So yeah, I like
4, right?
This is number 4. Yeah, this is 4. So, all right. Next up, we got Absolute Wonder Woman 11, a book you didn't get a chance to read this week, and I got the Derek True cover for the variant here.
I ordered that one, but I got this one. What can you do sometimes?
Yeah,
still not bad.
Yeah. And then basically, you know, I don't know. This might be one of those issues. I actually don't have the art for this one to even put up this week, so this might be one of those issues that you're not maybe a fan of, Chris. I think that, like, this is one of those ones where along the current day storyline, we're getting again some flashback stuff that kind of made her who she is, like some stuff that happened to her in hell, like character defining type stuff that made her the person that she is, and making the choices that she makes, like why she's like that. You know, her compassion and things like this, right? So there's a bit of that in this issue, which I know you're not that much of a fan of. But then I also, you know, it was fine. But then also, like, this is the issue where she's now, like, because she went into that maze, essentially. She's freeing a bunch of people up out of the maze, helping people in the maze. There's a fight where she goes against the person that controls, like, this labyrinth, this maze in the labyrinth. Ferdinand, he was, like, imprisoned, but he breaks free in this issue. She helps him out, like, the Minotaur, the character that we met. And there's, like, this whole thing with the siren, like an actual siren creature, like, evil, like one of those, like, mermaids.
Yeah, like from whatever, the Iliad or something.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting, like, stuff like that, like reference to that, like Greek mythology or just mythology, like, type stories and stuff like that, and characters showing up in this current storyline that I'm really digging. There was a lot of good moments in this issue still, and I'm interested to see where we end up at the end of this, because then I think where after we get out of this arc, I believe they're going to have the crossover between Batman and Wonder Woman, I believe, out in the Absolute books. Yeah. So it's still a solid storyline, but I will say, like, there is a bit of that stuff peppered throughout of, like, flashback type stuff, which I think takes away from the weight of the storyline that we've been following as a result. I mean, it's supposed to add to the storyline because it's trying to show you, like, character defining stuff, then why she makes the choices that she makes, kind of thing. But it does do that a bit, and but I also think that the storyline right now is pretty good, and I'd rather just get a full issue of that. Like, I know you don't like sometimes when they focus too much on the flashback type stuff, right? So, but I give this a 3.75 out of 5. I thought it was still solid. Then you got Minor Arcana number 10, another book I don't have the art here for this week. This is probably, like, one of my favorite issues of the series so far. This is, of course, Jeff Lemire. He hadn't drawn the last couple of issues. He's been writing and drawing this series. But I think, like, the last 2 or 3 issues, he wasn't drawing. He's back on art with this one. And the other artist that he had in it was fine. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just better when it's just him doing everything. But, I understand the guy does and draws, right, and writes a lot of books. So, I mean, I get it. He can't do it all the time. But this issue is like a singular story about a newer character we're being introduced to. This is back in 1977. They show this dude that, like, went to jail, it looks like, for killing somebody. It seems like accidentally, or, like, he definitely had, like, motive, like, reason to kill the person. I guess he did, but he was maybe, like, a violent guy that was messed up on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. So the whole issue, you're kind of seeing his everyday life in the prison. And I guess he's trying, like, to find a way for atonement in his life, like, find peace with his, like, current day situation in jail. His wife comes and visits him and tells him that she's leaving him and that his daughter doesn't want to see him anymore. He's like, that's fine. I'll sign the papers if you found someone new, even though he's not happy about it. But he's like, but then make sure, like, our daughter comes and visits me. And she's like, you don't get it. She doesn't want to visit you. So, like, Jeff Lemire always does this, like, slice of life stuff that's really good, like this kind of thing, like real, like, emotionally charged stories like this, and with, like, real life, like, type of situations. So the guy, like, he gets all, depressed after that. And then he finds, like, this, like, book about, like, tarot cards and, like, this kind of stuff in the jail. And he starts, like, practicing, like, meditation to, like, basically escape his mind, like, because he's in a prison, essentially, trying to, like, you know what I mean, like, find some sort of, like, peace. And then there's somebody in the prison that we just learned in the actual storyline that's going on in the comic, who's got, like, a tattoo, like a triangular type tattoo and some sort of symbol. And he's like, what the hell does that mean? And we're starting to learn about, like, some secret society of people that, like, follow this, like, magic stuff in the main storyline in the book. So in this one, like, guy's like, yeah, don't worry about that. I'm not going to tell you. And then he, like, tries to fight him. And he's like, whoa, I don't know what the hell is this guy's problem. And then he sees that symbol in one of his books or something. And he's able to, like, actually leave, like Doctor Strange from his body, like, actually, like, levitate out of his body. And he learns all this crazy shit, how to do this in the prison. So then when it comes to, like, there's a period where he's up for parole kind of thing. And the jail people are like, do you think you've improved? Like, if we let you out, what are your plans and this kind of thing? And he's just like, I didn't think I was going to be able to atone for what I did. He's like, I still don't think I did. But I'm willing to try. And, like, I just want to, like, better myself and all this kind of stuff. And then they let him out at the end of the issue. Then it's like one of those things where he's like, okay, like, he's like, here's to the rest of my life now. Like, I'm out. So I don't know what path he's going to go on down now, because he has all this, like, he's been learning and studying like magic and this kind of stuff now. So I guess he might become one of the main characters we're going to meet back up with in present day, because this happened in the late 70s in the book. But anyways, like, just a really good singular character piece type of issue with like a good story and a good character introduction. So I give it a 4.25. And Jeff Lemire's back on art. It was just a really solid story, like well-told story in an issue, I thought. So 4.25 out of 5. Then I got Void Rivals number 22, where I don't know where my actual issue is for this one. I got it somewhere. Oh yeah, no, my issue didn't come this week. I read this digitally. It didn't show up at the shop for whatever reason. Yeah, let's see. Did I end up reading this one? I may not have read this either, Chris. Hold on a second here. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, this one's okay. I mean, there wasn't too much that happened in this one, I gotta say, but there was some really good Skuxoid scenes. Let's talk about Skuxoid for a second. So let's jump to that. Other than that, you learn about the main character, like she's like fighting and trying to learn how to like harness this new power still that she's got, and that she's got that like that godlike power, or that that suit or whatever that she's in, right? So and then there's some stuff with the Transformers involvement and fighting, like helping them out as well, that's happening, but just more of the same I feel like we've seen prior to now. But the Skuxoid stuff is what's interesting about this particular issue, in my opinion. So Skuxoid meets with the actual big Skuxoid, that like Emperor Skuxoid or whatever, that one who's like the prime, the alpha, essentially, like the original Skuxoid, as he claims he is. And we've now figured out, apparently the Skuxoid we've been following is like a clone of his. But in this conversation, he's like, he finally meets with him one-on-one. He's like, yes, I remember you. Like you were the one that like you were my first version of himself, essentially. Like when they get cut or killed, they split off into like a duplicate of themselves, essentially. Like there's like a double that's made. And he's saying that this Skuxoid that we've been following, the way he's acting and the way he is, he recalls, and he's lost track of him for all this time, for years. He says he's the original first like duplicate of himself that was made. So it's kind of a cool thing. Like he's apparently not the original, but he's the next best thing to the original, it seems like. So, but I guess unlike all the other Skuxoids, he's not wired the same, it looks like. Like he'll fight back, and he's argumentative against him, he says, and that's why he remembers him, like the way he's acting. And he just says to him in this, there's this great talk they have. He's like, listen, all I want to know is, I have these memories of my family that have been haunting me, and I keep thinking I'm leaving them while I'm on the road and going on these adventures in space. And I get back home, and then I'm like, it's all in my mind. He's like, these people don't exist. He's like, what happened to your family? I need to know. And he just gets like all silent. He's like, we're not gonna get into that or whatever. And then he's like, and then he's like, no, like please, like just tell me. Like he's like, like why can't I know what happened to these people? And then he just like take this guy back to like whatever, like take him back to his prison or whatever the hell. Like he basically gets them to remove him from his sight or like kill him or something. Like he's basically just tells him to get this guy out of here. And yeah, it's just so tragic because he's just like, I just want to know what happened. And clearly this is something that like he doesn't want to talk about that's happened to him, right? So yeah, the mystery is still unsolved, Chris. I'm sorry to say, but I gotta tell you, as this whole main story is great, but the Skuxoid stuff, as I've talked to you about online and offline, is just really speaking to me. I love this character.
I think the Skuxoid's going to have some big role to play.
Yes.
In the end of this Void Rivals, because he can't be spending all this time just on a good story. He's got to have some role to play in the demise or the ending of this story.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it has to. Because like, why would he build up this other great character in this, or just to have it as maybe a companion to the main story? Because maybe he was like, I don't have enough here for this main story, so
he's got to come at the end. Everybody comes together at the end somehow. And from what I understand, Void Rivals is it's only a few more issues and that's finished too.
Oh, is that right? Yeah,
I think once Kirkman goes to Transformers, I think Void Rivals might be finished.
That makes sense. I mean, this story couldn't go on forever anyways. I think whatever's going to happen here at the end of this, like, yeah, like you said, it's probably going to impact the Energon universe stuff moving forward. And then maybe we'll see, maybe we'll get a Skuxoid solo miniseries or something afterwards.
No.
I'd be in for that though. But yeah, I give this, just for the Skuxoid moments, 3.75 out of 5. Although I will say at the end of the issue, it looks like there's a unity between the two people. Like there's one of the guys, there's something that happens on that last page.
An understanding of some sort.
Yeah, well, you know how they're not supposed to work together, these teams?
Yeah.
There's something that happened to the guy at the end there that, you know, this is the prophecy that's been foretold that this should not happen, that these two people shouldn't come together. So that something happens there that might change, like, whatever the hell is going to go down now moving into the next issue moving forward. That's we're going to see maybe this prophecy is a real deal or whatnot, right? So, yeah, so it should be interesting. Then you got Runaways number 3. This is a decent issue. Again, this is a tie-in miniseries with the Runaways to One World Under Doom. It's been talking about the fact that there was a Doombot character on the team. And there's the two characters that have been out of the team for the last while, and it kind of went off in different directions from the main Runaways, the last series, have come back now and are back together they're all together now, all the original members. Like one of them became like a villain and he fucked off somewhere for a while, and the other one went to space and now she came back. So they're all kind of, and then you find out like the one who was a villain has basically been spying on them this whole time and trying to follow like what they've been up to. And she's like, why do you care? Like, why are you doing that? Like, no wonder like you became like a villain. He's like, no, he's like, I just like to keep tabs on you guys or whatever. You used to be my friends or whatever, right? So like the fact that they're all together again is kind of fun, but you know, and then there's again, for the most part, these series, hence the name, they are on the run once again from Doom and the Doombots and stuff like that, trying to protect their Doombot friend. But so you kind of see them kind of come to blows a little bit in this one for people that are after them. And then Nico Minoru is the one who uses like magic. She hasn't had her main like wand essentially that she's able to use and use magic with. It's like she hasn't been able to kind of tap into that. So in this issue, it looks like she may have found out another way to get to her family's magic and harness it and use it. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening with that. You know, I give this a 3.5 out of 5 though. A solid issue. But in terms of like, you know, like what's happening in the actual storyline, probably like my least favorite of the miniseries so far. It was still decent though. So I'll give it 3.5 out of 5. Deadpool Wolverine number 8. Still a couple more that I read here. Joshua Cassara came back for the art on this. That's the only reason I want to talk about this. This is a fine story, but again, this is going to be one of those series that ends at 10 issues. We're on issue 8 right now. Last couple of issues, he hasn't drawn. He's been the highlight of the series for me. Otherwise, it's all coming to a head. Strife versus Deadpool and Wolverine. That's kind of been the story here, and we're kind of seeing everything unfold. And you know, it's not bad. You know, as far as even like Percy stuff goes, it's just another good action, you know, filled story with these characters. But again, Cassara, the artist, is the highlight of this for me. So I loved looking at this issue once again with him being back on art. I also just don't understand, like with these series, that they're most likely not going to be past 10 issues, how they can't line up these artists to draw a majority of these things. I think we're starting to see that more and more. I don't mind if it's like 2 issues like we just had with this, like we just had with the Carrie Andrews Spider-Man and Wolverine series, that other one that's going on right now. Speaking of Spider-Man, and sorry, this is Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man and Wolverine. But you know, I don't mind for 2 issues, but it's like, it's almost like let these guys like finish the books and then put them out if that's the case. It's hard to find artists to complement the other artists. Like that other artist they put on this book is nowhere as good as this artist is on the book. So I feel like
there's no reason these comics need to be out on time too. You know, if you can't get it, okay, wait a month. It's okay.
Yeah, you got 50 other titles coming out this month. It's not a big deal if it's delayed. So I just think if that's like what we're going for now, like try to have the same artist on all the issues. Like that's a year's worth of work, like, you know, you know, or more for some artists, depending how fast they are. So like just have them on the 10 issue series and have them work on it and then put it out. I just, you know, I don't know. I just don't understand how, like, you know, and then sometimes even worse. Sometimes, you know, it like these 2 examples that I used just had the artist away for 2 issues. But then like there's other ones where you're getting like 3-4 different artists sometimes in like a 10 issue series, which it just doesn't do anything for like, it's it doesn't bode well for the title, like especially if
Yeah.
you're trying to have like a look and identity for the title, and it takes you out of it sometimes. And then you have some great artists and then some not so great artists. So I don't know. I hate when it happens because this
Yeah.
book, the
Like
whole
when they build a series as, you know, this writer and this artist, and then
Right.
they're in there for like 2 issues and then they're gone.
right, yeah,
Talking to you, X-Men.
especially if you're signed up for this. This last page was awesome though. He looks great in the scene. I was like, whoa, he gets fried here. It's pretty crazy how he ends up looking at the end here. But yeah, I just don't love it when it happens, right? So I give this another 3 point. I'll go 3.75 because Casero is back on art again for this. Otherwise, it'd be like a 3.5 out of 5.
Once again, I think this is the final issue, and I don't think they're planning on this to be the final issue because they just wrapped up this story pretty quick. You know, I guess the big ultimate fight there is between the Ultrons. You have the Avengers Ultron, and then I don't know. I don't even know what to call maybe it's the Ultron Prime that was the real Ultron. Who knows? And then there was also that other Ultron that was running the cult. And supposedly, I guess Ultron and the bad Ultron were trying to fight, and then the Ultron that was running the cult, he sort of kind of came back into the play, and he teamed up with the real Ultron, and they're both trying to kill the bad Ultron. You know, I guess with their AIs, realize that this bad Ultron can't exist, and somehow, you know, they're all sort of stuck in, I guess, in the interweb or something of his brains, and then all the Avengers freaking just melt them all together in one piece. And that happened in like the first 3 or 4 pages of this comic. And then the rest of that was just tying up all the loose ends of all the other heroes that are part of this West Coast Avengers. So I think it was unsatisfying. I don't want to say, I guess it was satisfying that everything's all tied up, but there's an unsatisfying end to the series, I'd have to say.
I don't know. I actually liked the ending of this story, but as a series, yeah, I felt like there could have been more like told. I agree because some things were rushed. I agree with you in the sense that they rushed through some stuff, but I gotta say I did really like the conclusion of this story with them being stuck in that wall and then being memorialized, and then Tony sitting there as Tony does, trying to figure a way to get this guy out of there and help him because he helped single-handedly save the Avengers in this story. So I really did like the ending of the Ultron story specifically, but yeah,
I don't mind the beats of the story, but the way it was put out didn't satisfy me.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. But yeah, this series wasn't bad. I mean, it never, I think, lived up to the potential of how good the book could have been. But I always thought there was some interesting things going on. I remember talking about this book early on the show, how like I felt like it was missing something. Like there was something that it just, there's one element of the storyline that could have been added, or like it never was 100% like just a really good book for me. But we read the whole thing. We read every issue and talked about it here on the show. So it was good enough. I actually think this is an underrated title that I feel like a lot of people slept on. And it's something, if you can find for cheap out there and you missed out on it initially, I would pick it up and check it out. I actually like, I know there's going to be a trade. There's going to be 2 trade paperbacks of it when it's all said and done. The second volume's not out yet. You could do worse. It has some interesting stuff in it. Like, I think there's like the whole Starfire story with this guy who's like the new Wonder Man, essentially, I guess now, right? I think that's official. Like he's changing his name to that. I don't know if that's going to stick, but what was this guy's name otherwise? Like, I forget his name, like Power.
Something like Electricity Dev.
Yeah. Like, but their whole story, like, for example, that's one of the things I felt like they had to rush through here at the end, which is disappointing.
Like, she was like in rehab, and then out of the blue, she shows up, and now they're back together, and they're not together.
Right. And then they were like, oh yeah, like at the end you see them putting up the new statue, like erecting the new statue for basically for I guess they're going to recruit new people, they said. Like they're going to recruit more parole people from jail and this new West Coast Avengers, that's going to basically be what they do for this team. So I don't know if anybody else is going to pick up on this moving forward, but as a whole, the series was decent, I'll say. And then they erected the statue of Ultron there. And then he mentions Alicia Masters is the one that sculpted it, which was kind of cool. I thought, right? Like they threw her name in here as the person who made it for them. So yeah, not bad. I get what you're saying though. It had some potential that I just don't think was reached there at the end, and some storylines were rushed. What'd you give it?
I give it a 3.5, and the series as a whole 3.5. It's like if you kind of get this on a 50% off, or they got a stock of 1 to 10, for $10 or something, I think it's worth reading or picking up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it slightly more than you. I'm gonna give it 3.75 for the ending and for the series. I would say it's like 3.5, between 3.5, 3.75 all the way through it out of 5. Yeah. Like there was some moments that were better than others. It didn't start great. I think it led to an interesting story that just didn't reach, like I said, its full potential. So not bad. Geiger 17, Chris.
Oof. Geiger 17. It's got the A cover there. And I guess we're starting a new sort of storyline here. I guess in the last episode or last issue, Geiger sort of unleashed all his power, and then, he just kind of left the husk in the ground. And you realize that, he, in that blast, he got thrown miles and miles away. So he wakes up, sort of in the strange land, lost wherever he is. And then all of his friends, they're kind of trying to figure out what happened. And where Geiger gets stuck, I don't know what's happening there, but it's starting in a whole new sort of lore, I guess. He's in some sort of jail that's being run by one of the former prison mates, and I know there's some Blackbeard's gold that's hidden underneath there, and Geiger doesn't seem to have any of his powers. So I don't know. It's all interesting stuff, and this just story reminds me, like, almost got a bit of a Walking Dead sort of feel to it. Like they'll just twist the whole storyline after their arc and just end up in a whole different place. And I'll see what's going on. And even whatever's happening with all his friends that are lost trying to find him, there's some stuff here with Junkyard Joe. I don't know what's going on with him. His circuit might be fried a little bit, but it was a good read, and I'm enjoying this still.
Yeah, agreed. And good comparison to The Walking Dead. Yeah, I like that. Interesting cast of characters in this book, and the fact that they're all kind of separated and going off on their own journeys at this point, and you're getting to see that play out here within this storyline was really good. And I do also like how they do like that prologue type stuff too. Like you said, they kind of touch on the fact that this stuff's going on with Junkyard Joe, and how they're setting up so many different character storylines going in different directions at this point that we're in issue 17, but they can easily bang out like another 13 issue. They can go to issue 30 at this point.
Yeah, like this is a series that's made for the long haul. They're not planning on dropping this at 25 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like the way that they're trying this out, because you got the epilogue here. Yeah, it sets up the Junkyard Joe thing, and then you got they show you what's going on with him, and then the zebra comes back, and the zebra's big.
The zebra's all I don't know, like healthy or something. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, he mentions like how he's grown, like, and he I guess from like the fallout of the blast or whatever, he's changed. So again, they're setting up a lot of things. I guess we'll see where they go, but it's still really good series.
Yeah. Good stuff. Nothing crazy going on in this issue, but there's some craziness waiting for you. I'll give this 3.75.
Yeah, same. 3.75 out of 5. Next up, we got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring, number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Number 1, I thought was a crazy issue. This one didn't seem to be so crazy, I think.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of, it held back. And you just kind of, you're following around these, whatever, the bears. And I know the big takeaway I get from this is that there's wild bears running through the city and people are afraid of it. And, I guess you get a little bit of insight into that serial killer bear, how it's a she, I believe. She's like, has to go further and further to do whatever she wants to do out there. But I thought it didn't continue that first issue the way I would have hoped.
Yeah, I agree. There is like a moment where they show her, cleaning up her mess. She goes out on trips, it seems like, for like long weekends for holidays to go and take victims and kill them. So you get like, you know, you get like a little panel of like the cleanup of the vivisection, like the you know, like after like she chops up the victim, and there's like a panel of her like swimming backwards in a pool of blood, it looks like. But other than that, yeah, they kind of dialed this one back. I agree. It's like a little bit more, you know, but they're obviously building, I guess, the storyline and the characters of this sequel now, and you know, I guess we'll see where it goes. I mean, obviously, I'm sure this turtle or these like whatever these creatures, what are these ones? I don't know what they are supposed to be like.
Right. It looks like it's just her neighbors or something.
Yeah, so like whatever these two people are that they kind of build up in this issue, I guess these are people that are going to play out within the storyline. So, or find out that she's a killer or something, right? Like the way that they're kind of building these characters up. So I'm interested to see what's going on. It was interesting though. The turtle character, it seems like they're kind of like a shut-in, like afraid of the outside world kind of thing. Like he just gets the internet for the first time, it seems like, in this, and he starts finding, that was probably the most interesting part about this issue. He starts finding all this stuff, like blogs, I guess, like people kind of talking about all the murders that happened in their town previously.
Yeah, I think he reveals that to the serial killer, and that serial killer seems to get a new thrill from almost egging on her victims' families, it seems.
Right.
So that's really tie in with really the first issue.
So at the end, you kind of see like she's like, "Oh yeah, show me where this stuff is on the internet," or she does, and she starts like replying to people and stuff on these sites. It seems like so that should be interesting. Also, like the fact that they're in a world where they're animals, but then there's also wild animals is kind of funny.
Yeah. Kind of odd.
So like I think like the parallel of like her seeing them hunt a wild bear while she's a bear. Like she's just sitting there. She's like, oh yeah, they just shot that wild bear out there. Yeah. just kind of interesting how they kind of, obviously I'm sure it was purposeful, right? Because she's like this devoid of, she has like no emotion on her face when she like sees this happening. She's like, all right, I'm just going to go inside and play the computer. Anyways, but yeah, not bad. What'd you give this?
I got a 3.5, but it's still good stuff.
I agree. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Did you read? I forgot to ask you about this one. Did you read We're Taking Down Everyone With Us this week?
No, I didn't read that one.
Okay, I read it. So very quickly, this is one more issue to go in this. The last issue, this girl who's like her father was basically like a supervillain, like genius, mad scientist guy. He, you know, for anybody, it's been a while probably. I feel like since we talked about this series, he put his mind inside of a robot and tried to protect his daughter and get her to escape like their compound where he basically got taken out and by like secret agents. So in the last issue, he finally makes it to his ex-wife's. She's also, I guess, a supervillain. She makes it to her place with their daughter. And in this issue, she kind of sees her mother for the first time. And I don't know how long, because I guess she was under her father's care. And he reveals to her that he's inside the robot and they get to talk. And you could tell there was like a lot of problems that these two had. But then like, also like the mother doesn't seem somehow surprisingly the way that she's depicted. It seems like even a worse family, a worse parent than he is, which is just like weird. So like you could tell that these two don't get along. The daughter and her, like she's kind of like not obeying, like she's not listening to him or her and stuff throughout this story. And then by the end of it, like something happens and she gets under fire, and then some shit goes down with her because I guess the secret agents still kind of these like James Bond characters are still trying to track down these evil organizations. Like there's a moment where like her mother, like she runs away from her mother and she's just like, oh, whatever, like I can't be bothered with her or whatever right now. And like the father actually does really care for his daughter, and he actually upgrades his body to like a new robot because it got messed up after all the stuff that's happened to them in this story so far. So by the end of the issue, like she runs off and I think she's either trying to help her father at the end there or just escape her mother because again, she's just the girl's in the middle of like all this bad stuff that's happening in her world because her parents are super villains, right? So I kind of feel bad for her. But what's revealed in this issue is that her father's he created something in her where she can basically be triggered, and she's just like a super assassin type of person to the kid. So she's just like really good with guns and she has all this knowledge of stuff. So like it's talked about in this issue whether or not this is something he was previously working on. And and then there's a hint that it probably actually worked and with his daughter. And that's something that he did for her. So it seems like she's going to be okay no matter what. But, you know, it's just an interesting kind of story being told here that I've never read before. And it's really good. I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5. With one more issue to go, I'm really looking forward to the conclusion. Chris, did you read X-Men this week?
No.
Okay, so moving on. Fuck that book. Justice League Unlimited number 10, Chris.
Yeah, I just read this one online. I haven't had great feelings about this, but I thought this issue was better than most.
Yes.
But then Mora art, like, oh my God. I think that's the only thing saving this comic. And the story here, I don't know what's going on, really. The Time Trapper, or just being Time Trapper, being Doomsday, that's still crazy. And I guess he's now been infected, or he got shot with something, and he goes to the Justice League for help. And just weird stuff happening here. I think my feeling overall is if you're only reading one DC comic, it wouldn't be so bad. But if you're reading a whole bunch of DC comics, like, this isn't really fitting in with everything else that's going on in either Wonder Woman's comics or Batman comics, which who knows what's going on in Batman comics, because that's just another story itself.
I will say, though, I felt like this is a good compliment to the Superman book, especially right now with everything going on. Yeah. Like, I think this week when I read, we're going to be talking about that book next. When I read Superman and then I read this, and especially with the Time Trapper stuff and the Darkseid stuff happening there, I was just like, I think it's a good compliment for that title right now. But I agree with you. It doesn't really seem to be in line with everything else happening within the DC universe. Like, it's, you know, I think there's the corner of Mark Waid books over here, kind of, and like I don't know.
Mark Waid's got his own little universe, and if you're not part of it, then you're not even, you know, part of it, I guess. But like I say, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a good read, great art, and I feel better than the last few issues of this stuff that I read. It does tie into a lot of the stuff I have been reading, like the Summer of Superman and stuff like that. But I still can only give this, I'll give it a 3.75 just because that art was so good.
I agree. I also really liked this issue in comparison to the last couple that we've had. Is like that crossover didn't really end that well. That We Are Tomorrow or whatever the hell it was called. Yeah. My favorite scene of this issue, though, was the fact that all of the Trinity get into an argument with one another. Like, I like how
Airwave. I enjoyed that part.
I thought that was really good. That was a really well-written part, I thought it was like Mark Waid. That was a cool choice to make because we don't really ever see that happening, like issues between them, like to this extent. So I like how they're not all on the same page with what's going on at the moment. I like that, like, they showed this. Like, I like how they're questioning the whole idea of Mark Waid's Justice League book to begin with. They're like, why did we sign everybody up? Like, it's like, you barely vetted these people. Like, you just made everybody a Justice League member. Yeah. Like, it's just like, and these are questions that even we had, like, on this show, or like people have had about this run. So it's almost like he's like the mouthpiece of fans in this scene, and he's kind of like working that issue out amongst all these characters, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, that is a very good point. Why did he just make everybody a Justice League member? You know, especially when they get these people that come and try to kill them, like that one character from the last crossover, right? So like, they're like, yeah, you're like, what are we doing here, right? Of course, that's not something that Batman would sign up for. He's like, you're exposing, like, you're, you know, Batman's more like, we shouldn't be exposed like this, right? Like, so, and Superman's more trusting, right? And kind of Wonder Woman's kind of the one in between. She's kind of like, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like, I liked it. It was a really solid scene. And for that reason, I would also give this issue a 3.75 out of 5. That and the art. I mean, Dan Mora, we're, you know, once again, we're going to be talking about him here in a minute on Superman 29. It's great stuff. What do you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Justice League Unlimited better than this Superman 29 with the Superboy Prime thing.
Wow,
this is a crazy character where he seems to be aware of everything that's going on, you know. And then I did kind of enjoy that Superman doesn't know what the hell he's talking about all the time. He's like, who are you talking to? And then, you know, when they got to kind of break out of this pocket universe, all he does is smash the panel of the comic. And then they're going to this future with this Justice League, whatever, in the 31st century. I'm sort of lost in all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, at the end, it looks like Superboy Prime is turning on Superman. So I don't know. That's just too much for me.
Everything that you said is the reason I loved this comic. It was all great coming out of the comic panels. Amazing. Superboy Prime, the Legion stuff with them in the future, the dark side stuff that's bubbling up right now. It seems like it's that's happening, starting to happen. The reference to the dark side war stuff whatever this whole thing's called, and the time trapper the Doomsday character showing up in this story. Mora looked amazing in this issue. I'd say, yeah, I disagree. I like this way more than Justice League Unlimited this week. I thought this was a lot of fun.
I'm not a big fan of punching through the universe. Like, why does you get Power Girl to do it? And are they copying friggin' Marvel Girl? Like, isn't that her power as well? It's like, come on. It's a bit of a cheesy power, I think.
I don't have like a huge knowledge of the Legion characters either, and I wouldn't say like I knew every, the history of everybody kind of here in this story, but despite all that, I still really enjoyed this. I can acknowledge the fact I may not understand everything that was going on either, but I didn't care. Like, this was just comic book goodness in this issue. I felt like this is just a crazy time travel type stories with different versions of characters. I dug it a lot. Great stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5. I have a feeling we're going to have a taste of this in ASM coming up with whatever's going on in that Spider-Man story. Like with the actual Peter Parker, he's going to be probably doing some crazy stuff like this because somehow these comics seem to mirror each other in their storylines.
I give this a 4.25. Love this issue.
Emma Frost. 4.25. Whoa, easy now.
Loved it. Emma Frost, the White Queen, number 3. Got the David Nakayama cover here.
Yeah, I had to go with that. But that there's like some Yin Fang something.
Right here. And I got that one too.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one there. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I feel this is a generic storyline that's just selling covers.
Yep.
I forget what happens in this one. She goes to a different Hellfire club, and I guess the leader of that club sort of owes Emma Frost, a few favors, and he's not going to cash him in, but his mother happens to be there, and she's like, "Oh, you can't, honor is everything." And supposedly the mother and Emma Frost get along, and she helps her escape, I guess, if that's the gist of it. But I don't know. The story ain't. The art's okay, and the story is just ho hum. Covers are great though.
I agree. I mean, the best thing about these has been the covers. Basically, the big takeaway from this issue is that she learns that the Hellfire Club doesn't have her back. Like, that's basically the fallout of this one, that she's like, I can't trust these people anymore. And that's about it. I mean, it's a very, like you said, a generic Emma Frost story that doesn't deserve its own miniseries, that's for sure. But here we are, and I've picked up every issue.
Yeah, I'm probably get 4 and 5 too. They keep those covers going.
Yeah,
a little bit of cheesecake there in the issue. I don't mind that either.
No. All right, what'd you give this?
Yeah, it's 3.25.
Yep. Yeah, and then finally, Ultimate Spider-Man number 20.
Let me find my issue here. I do have it somewhere. Where'd that sucker go? There we are.
Nice.
Number 20. Hey, and what was selling this issue there? It's supposed to be Mary Jane, Peter, Harry, and Gwen kind of get together, and they're all going to spill the beans to Mary Jane and just kind of let her know what's been going on. So it's a lot of talking heads in this. I'm glad it wasn't Marco Cicchetto. I think he'd have wasted him in this issue if he was the artist. And I was looking forward to kind of, getting some dirt in the nitty gritty, but it just didn't seem to go anywhere. And then out of the blue, like that's the biggest shock here, which is worth the price of admission, is when Mary Jane cracks Gwen Stacy. Like I didn't see that coming a while ago. I read this like the comic. I didn't read it digitally, and you kind of see. Oh, I think they're kind of having a little chit chat in the washroom, and I think Mary Jane kind of has some line. Go, oh, that's I forget what she says, but it's like, oh, that's too bad. And the next page, you just turn over, and it's like, wham, she's freaking laid out on the ground. And then you go into the next couple pages. Mary Jane's walking out of the washroom, and they don't know what's going on. And then there's some villain revealed at the end. I don't know if that's a new thing. And then the little side stories too with Ben Parker and I guess Ben and what's the son's name, Richard or something.
Yeah,
that was fun stuff. But it's still a good issue, but not my favorite issue out of them all. Like there's some banger issues. This was just some good hits.
I agree with you. But that scene, that was great. And the thing she basically said to her, first of all, she had this coming for a while. I mean, she was kind of rude to Mary Jane the last time. I feel like they all hung out together too in this storyline, right? Like she always makes like certain little comments, right? But she's very full of herself. And in this one, she basically alludes to the fact that Mary Jane wouldn't be able to protect herself or her kids if push comes to shove. And that she is able to because she's able to have that Mysterio magic stuff. And she's just like, how long does that last for? Just to make sure that she doesn't. I'm not going to have it for like another 3 days or something. That she just clocks her.
Okay, yeah. Then the next page, pow.
Yeah. So great scene. I agree. For that alone, it was worth reading, but it's not the strongest issue. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, there it is.
But stay tuned. Chris will probably own the original art to this next year. We could come across that one. David,
I'll give it away. I don't know if Marco Cicchetto did it. Maybe I could give him a call. Go, hey buddy, you remember me? I'm the guy from Fan Expo.
Well, David. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Buongiorno, mi amigo.
But David Messina, as we know, was supposed to be at the con as well, and he never showed, right? So you never know. Maybe next year.
They got that page there too. Then who knows if he was there? Damn Air Canada. Yeah,
I know. That would have been a cool page to have too, right? You're just knocked out and stuff. But what'd you give this?
3.75.
Yeah, 3.75 out of 5 for sure. All right, that's going to do it for what we read this week, guys. What are we reading next week here? Let's take a look. I got my list here, Chris, if you want me to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Smaller week, it seems like. Amazing Spider-Man. Batman #1 is slated to come out next week, but I don't know. Like, is this gonna be one of those weird situations where the last Batman hasn't finished and Batman #1's gonna start?
They don't care. It's Jim Lee. He's late. He's the boss. What does it matter? And it's not like one story belongs in another story.
This wouldn't be the first time that's happened though. Like where a series they've relaunched a series and they also the last previous installment hasn't ended. So
like that Hush 2 just could have been a miniseries and it didn't need to continue on in that Batman title. It has nothing to do with anything that happened in the Chip Zdarsky run. I
agree. Like if they honestly threw him off of that book and didn't let him finish or do more because of that, I think it was a waste. I get it financially. It was probably gangbusters for them, how much they sold on those, but I just think just for them, ruining the end of the Zdarsky's run, it felt like so editorially interrupted, and then bringing on that Hush 2 has just not been promising. But anyways, Batman #1 supposed to come out. Ninja Turtles 11, Phantom Road 15, Sisterhood comes out. I'll be reading that digitally. Doctor Strange 450 has some oversized one shot that's coming out. Batgirl, all new Venom, and then we got Absolute Superman coming out next week as well. Yeah, that's what I got written down for things that I'll be reading and picking up. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, for whatever reason, the site I go to see what's coming out next week is blank still. But I pretty much echo whatever you got there. I'll either try and read or I'm getting. Then what's there?
There's also, if you are interested in it, looks like that new Philip Kennedy Johnson Adventures of Superman Book of L comes out next week, #1.
Yeah.
If you're still reading Absolute Green Lantern, that comes out next week. I know you were reading that previously. Looks like there's also another Imperial War #1 tie-in issue, Exiles. Yeah,
the Shi'ar part of the story, I think,
yeah,
or the Professor X part of the story.
yeah. So
That
that's
was a big deal there when the story started. Professor X leaving, that was almost like the prelude to this Imperial Award, but he hasn't really done anything.
No. Yeah, it's yeah, and he really hasn't had a big role in this event, right? But yeah, so there you go. That's what we're looking forward to checking out next week. A bit of a smaller week, but that's okay. These last 2 weeks we've been getting slammed with books. It's been a lot. I guess the end of the summer they're pumping out all their titles, starting a bunch of new ones because going into the end of the year they got to kind of end off all the summer events and everything else. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks, like 20 books or whatever coming out that we read collectively. All right, Chris, what was your favorite book of the week this week, though?
I did like that Nemesis, but I got to go with Huck. Like that story just took a freaking turn that I couldn't ignore.
Yeah, I had a feeling. It's a weird week for me. Definitely some cool contenders here. I thought Nemesis was solid. Doom 2099, when I was talking about it, was a lot of fun because Doom. Skuxoid, always happy to see him. But I gotta go with, honestly, a book that you disliked, Superman 29. I mean, I had a lot of fun with that this week. It was between that or Minor Arcana number 10. I think what it all boils down to it for me, but I don't know what it was. I just really enjoyed reading Superman 29 this week. That was a highlight of the week for me. It's my favorite of the week. There you go, guys. Don't always gotta agree, man. It happens. But overall, though, Joshua Williamson, I think, run on Superman has been pretty good. Like, we've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been a solid one.
Yeah. So, all right, so that's going to do it for this week, everybody, on Comic Shop Talk. Make sure to like and subscribe and check us out every week here when the videos drop. And you can go check out our playlist with all the other videos that we've done here, coming up on 200 videos and all kinds of different stuff there. Check it out and other stuff on the channel. All right, Chris, thank you as always. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.